Hello, everybody, and welcome to this special edition. Every episode's a special episode when it comes to the Dawn approach, but this one is our Royal Ascot special. It could be quite long because there's a hell of a lot of racing to go through, but it's one you don't want to miss because hopefully we'll be keeping up the great form that we have been in the last few podcasts. So welcome myself, Rich, or Sir Richard Coughlin, as I will be in future when I get knighted. The sensational Miss Dawn 𝗗𝗪𝗡, and of course another Sir in future, Sir Danny Fogg.
I'm a Sir now.
If the royal family are watching this, which they probably should be, as it's a Royal Ascot special, then we'll expect our knighthoods and our MBEs, etc. in the post very, very soon. Okay.
Service to horse racing.
Yeah, service to horse races and to content creation.
And to keeping people in the money, honey.
Yeah, that's it. It's basically what we do.
And to your editing skills after this, because
that's
going to be pretty spectacular.
Dedication.
Maybe I'll just put it up raw.
Well, we do like it going in raw, so.
Yes, we do. Right. Where should we get started?
Mm-hmm.
The podcast that we did, what was it, 2 weeks ago? It doesn't seem like that long ago. For the Derbies. The Derby podcast. Obviously, myself and Dawn were lucky enough to go to the Epsom Derby and see City of Troy come back to form in a spectacular way. And then on the Sunday, a quick Eurostar to Paris, where we travelled up to 𝘗𝘪𝘨𝗪𝗏. Myself and Danny went to the French version at 𝘗𝘪𝘨. So yeah, double derby for me and one each for Dawn and Danny. I'm sure there's a lot of horses that ran either in the flesh or on the sofa over the last couple of weeks. So Dawn, welcome, and we'll start with you.
Yeah, well, first, the Derby. We were all left with City of Troy on our faces, but Christ, when he went up that hill, Rich, we just knew that the writing was on the wall and the rest, we're not going to catch him. So he was pretty special, and it was one of those derbies, like we said to John Sandys, that you'd be able to go back and talk about in years to come, and I think we will be able to go back in years to come and talk about 𝗗𝗪𝗏, I'm going to say, in the flesh as well. What a good little lady she is. She was third, then she came out at Epsom and won so easy for John Quinn, and John Quinn's lost Highfield Princess, but maybe this girl can take up the gauntlet on from that. So she was the other one in the flesh that I've seen. 𝗗𝗪𝗏𝗡 won tonight at Leopardstown. This is Thursday, so whenever this goes out, Chris Hayes, the man who won on 𝗗𝗪𝗏𝗏 in the Oaks. And anybody who says that Oaks was below par, I'm sorry, but I think the Oaks was nearly good, if not better than the Derby. And Chris Hayes doing what Chris Hayes does and riding at his very best on 𝗗𝗪𝗏𝗏. So wherever she goes next, we follow. They're saying France is in mind in the autumn. But tonight on 𝗗𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏, I seen him last week at the Classic Day at Gowran, and he was a very good second. So he's after winning for the subs tonight at 7-2, and he bet a very, very good horse at Aidan O'Brien. So he's definitely one to keep on side. I also seen Easy Mover last week at one of the Fairy House Fairy Nights. We had a runner in Squeeze. We didn't get the distance, but Easy Mover did on debut. He's very, very nice, and he won a charity bet for me as well. Wayne Lorden rode him. Very good. On the sofa, Zilpha yesterday at Kempton. If you're talking about sexy breeding, and all us racing fans who go from early morning to late at night watching with her eyes open or closed or anything in between, Zilpha enables half sis. Shoe mark, she eased off and she came back and she just went, and she is something to now really get excited about, because the flat season this year, it's been a bit topsy-turvy, and you haven't really seen something that's really, really stand out. I know some people come from me and say, but we've seen this, we've seen that. But for me, she set my world alight, and I was sitting at home in my work clothes, having a cup of tea, and I was screaming the kitchen down. It was every racing fan's dream to see that happen. And also, going forward, bumper-wise, Manila Hollow, John Allen won his second bumper. That is a classy horse, and he's one to keep on side for the jumps. Cover your ears, Danny, but Manila Hollow, very good horse, and I'm sure there's going to be some people coming knocking to buy him.
Yeah, well, they said, didn't they? They said that he won't be as cheap as he once was, because people sort of ignored him before. And yeah, there'll be some people coming knocking for sure. Probably JP, he'll ask anyway, won't he?
He'll ask one, that's all.
Ask once, yeah. I mean, you say 𝗔𝗣𝗥𝗢𝗔𝗖𝗛, but in the same race, oh my goodness me. I mean, I did mention 𝗋𝘪𝘨𝘪𝘵 in the podcast, and she was 12-1 at the time. She went off 5s and got no luck in running at all. And I'd sort of given up watching her because I saw that she was completely blocked, and then looked at the front of the race and was just enjoying the race as a whole. And then she came down the outside. I was like, oh my goodness. So she lost by a neck to 𝗔𝗣𝗥𝗢𝗔𝗪. And if she didn't get all of that interference, she surely would have won. So I'm sure she's in a lot of notebooks and probably won't go off any price next time she runs. But God, that was one that could have been. That was in the flesh. And then, yeah, one that got away. The next day, obviously, was in 𝗋𝘪𝘨𝘪𝘵. I know, Danny, you're going to mention a couple, but
yeah,
we can't really look elsewhere other than 𝗋𝘗𝗪𝗥𝗢𝗥, can we? I mean, what a performance in the Breeders' Jockey Club. Probably, I don't know the exact odds, but surely has to be favourite, if not joint favourite for the Arc, following in Ace Impact's footsteps from last year. Just didn't really look in any danger at any point in the race. So, yeah, really good performance. And there's another eye catcher in that race, and I'll save that for later because the horse has an entry at Royal Ascot, which I'm surprised at a little bit, but oh God, if this horse runs, it's going to be, I reckon it'll be 50-1 plus. So it could be another monster, especially if there's a little bit of rain. So yeah, I'll save that one for in a little bit. But yeah, they were my standouts. And there's so many more horses I could mention, but Dawn, you've done a good job there, and Danny, you'll fill in the gaps, especially from 𝗋𝘪𝘨𝘪𝘵.
Well, yeah, I think only from 𝗋𝘪𝘨𝘪𝘵 at the moment. We were lucky enough to obviously attend, and in the first race there's a nice horse for Amy Murphy called 𝗋𝘪𝘨𝑒𝑡 from Len. Now we made sure we had a good look at them all to see exactly what was nice and what was maybe a bit behind. Now he was stunning. He was the best looking in the paddock. He still had a bit of condition on him as well, so anything he did, he was going to improve from. And yeah, he obliged nicely. I think the main reason we were keen to keep him on side was down to his breeding. 𝗗𝗪𝗪𝗥𝗢𝗥𝗢𝗪 have done very well with early season horses so far this year. So yeah, and obviously we had a quick discussion with Amy afterwards, and she was very keen on him moving forward and said there was bags of improvement to come. So he's certainly one to keep on side, that's for sure. And then later on in the card, Maxime Guyon had a treble, I think, on the day. A horse called Sacred Spirit was running in the handicap. Now we had a good look at all them, didn't we? And we decided this horse was a group horse in the handicap. He was a beautiful animal, and they went really quite slow, and he still managed to have plenty underneath him to get there towards the end. So yeah, he's one to keep on side. Sacred Spirit.
Yeah, I mean, Amy Murphy did say, didn't she? Said he's a big fat boy. So it's a 10 from Len. There'll be loads to come from him after in the next run or two. Yeah, Francisco's piece was obviously good for Keatley's as well. And yeah, there was loads of great horses, and I think we were 4 from 4 at one point, just sticking them up on Twitter as we were looking at them in the paddock. I think we had about 6 winners on the day, so not bad from a little trip over to France.
There was one that we haven't mentioned, another one of Maxime Guyon's, Adventure.
Oh yeah,
the See the Stars filly.
Yeah.
Now that was ultra impressive. Came there absolutely swinging.
Maxime giving it the old look, like behind, where is everyone? Yeah.
Yeah. came there absolutely cruising through the race. So it'll be interesting to see where she turns up next time. But that was heavy ground, and she was moving through it extremely well. Improved 15 pounds from the previous run. So yeah, she's one to keep on side moving forward as well.
Lovely. Right, on to Royal Ascot, and let's start with the past and have a little trip down memory lane. Any memories that really stick out to you, Dawn, from Royal Ascot's gone by?
Yeah, well, first I'll do as we always do in the flesh and on the sofa, but it was in the lockdown, and they done a lovely thing for the NHS in 2020 where you dressed up at home and you did Ascot at home, because only a handful of people could go at the time. And we did tablescaping and we took pictures, and me and the pony got into the Daily Mail, and it was all a bit of fun, and money went to charity, and it was, a scary time. And 2020 and 2021 were scary times, and we don't like to dwell on that and think back to it, but 𝗗𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏, I mean, him winning his Gold Cup with Frankie again, and if it didn't brighten your day or brighten your year, and Kyprios, in the end, it used to be him toe to toe. But looking back now, and the last couple of weeks, people have been putting up their memories of Royal Ascot and that. And when you think like that, Strad had won at Ascot 4 times, and you forget quickly. Now he's off doing other fun things with ladies, but at the time, what a fan favorite he was as well. And just because most of us were locked down and couldn't get racing, to just sit there and watch that and say, oh, it's Strad. It was something familiar. It was a horse that we'd all experienced at some stage. It was just so lovely, and in a dark time, a lot of bright. And then last year, funnily enough, the very last race of Royal Ascot, where I nearly missed my plane, but I banged on and banged on and banged on since the Levmos, Dawn Rising, had my obligatory Guinness in the airport on my way to Royal Ascot, and I said to a guy who had, his wife's car had broken down 2 weeks previously, and he said to me, oh, you're going to Ascot, I'm going to Spain, tell me, what horse? And I said to him, Dawn Rising won't be beaten. J'adore More Up and Dawn Rising, I mean, it's written in the stars. And I waited and I waited. I was not leaving Ascot until Dawn Rising got over the line. And it was just amazing. He's a dual purpose dude. He's going back this year again for the Queen Alexandria. Now, I'm pretty sure I have the winner, and it's not Dawn Rising this year. It's an O'Brien, but it's not Joseph. But that was just, and the guy then sent me a message a week later. He found me on Twitter and he thanked me, the wife's car, new car being paid for thanks to Dawn Rising. But such a dude of a horse, and to have Ryan up on him, and he was just a horse that I had followed during the winter over the sticks to then come and do that, kind of like the likes of Vauban and Pied Piper and Absurd this year. You've got a whole relationship over the whole year, which we don't always get with the flatties. So Dawn Rising, dude, last year.
Lovely. Yeah, I think I've not been to Royal Ascot that many times, like 5 or 6, I think, which, considering it's pretty close by to where I live, isn't all that great. But obviously with the travelling and stuff, I'm usually like working or not in the country. So I do remember when I sort of not first got into racing, but I hadn't been into racing that long. And my dad said, are you having a bet at Royal Ascot this week? I turned to him and was like, yeah, I'll probably have a few bets. I fancy this and fancy that. And he said to me, Rich, don't even bother. I was like, oh, right, what? He said, whatever you're going to have on any other horse, just save it up and just put it on Yates. I think he was 6-4. It wasn't a big price, but he just said, just have one bet this week, Rich, and just back Yates. And so I think I had a couple more bets, but I did back Yates, and Yates duly delivered, as he always did, a bit like 𝗗𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏. And it's another horse that obviously the public hold in high regard, and he's now off doing more fun things and producing good horses as well. And yeah, these horses that come back and win year after year do hold a big place in a lot of people's hearts. And yeah, he's definitely one. And yeah, I'll never forget that day when my dad said, well, no point in having a bet on anything else because just have it all on Yates, basically. And yeah, he was so right. He was so right. In the flesh, I think last year, I know it's recency bias and all of that, but going there last year on the Tuesday with a couple of friends, we hadn't been for a while, obviously because of lockdowns and all that sort of stuff. It was nice to get back together. The weather was absolutely stunning. And my mate backed triple time in the Queen Anne, won 33-1. And then he backed 𝗗𝗪𝗪𝗡 in the, was it the Coventry? No, not the Coventry, because that was River Tiber. I think we backed that too. And 𝗗𝗪𝗪𝗡 won another race on the card under Holly Doyle. And yeah, he said, oh, I think I might need to buy some champagne because, yeah, he had two very big priced winners and a couple of them were in like multiples and stuff. And yeah, well done, Tom. Cheers for the champagne. We had a very, very good day last year. And that will not be forgotten, although a lot of it was forgotten because I was rather drunk. Danny, I know you haven't been to Royal Ascot. And this year you're still not going to get to go. But
no,
next year when we have a runner, you will be there.
Yeah, I can't believe I've been sent away, to be honest, when we were trying to go. But hey ho, can't complain about our bosses now, can we? So yeah, I think
you'll be very missed, Danny. Very missed.
Recent years, I think there's one horse that we can only talk about for me, and that's Blue Point. What Blue Point did at Royal Ascot over 3 years, was it? I believe.
Yeah.
Sorry, 4 years. Was it 4 years, maybe, or 3 years? Anyway, he beat Harry Angel in 2017. He then tried to beat 𝗗𝗪𝗪𝗡, was it, in the race the Saturday, in the Commonwealth Cup, was it? Something like that. And then he won in the October of that year in the whatever the race is, you know what I mean? The October meeting, the Champions meeting.
Yeah,
that's
Champions.
Flipping heck. Not doing great here. And then came back the year after, beat 𝗵𝗏, and then came back the year after that, beat 𝗵𝗏 again, and then beat Dream of Dreams on the Saturday in 2019. So yeah, Blue Point was unbelievable at Royal Ascot. And I think if you go back to when he beat 𝗵𝗏 the first time, the horses in behind, likes of Mabs Cross, who was unlucky not to win a Nunthorpe that year, and Lady Aurelia. I won't talk about it too loud. But yeah, it was an unbelievable year of sprinters. I think Havana Grey came out that year as well. So yeah, it was a great year for sprinters, and Blue Point has etched his name into the records and the history books at Royal Ascot. So yeah, Blue Point, if you want to go back and look at a horse, a sprinter, and how a sprinter is capable of running and winning at Royal Ascot, then Blue Point is that horse.
Yep, well said, I think.
And I think, sorry, I think he'll have a daughter and a son this year when Danny at Royal Ascot.
Yeah,
he's done very well. The daughter and the son.
Yeah, well, that's what I was just about to say. It's a third. All of us said a horse that has then gone on and done good things in the breeding shed or so far. So yeah, amazing. Right, that's enough of the past, and now we will attempt to predict the future in some way. We have obviously quite a lot of. Well, there's a lot of races that we don't even know entries for yet because they're not out. We're recording this on the Thursday the week before. We have the Tuesday entries and the Wednesday entries, so we've got a little bit of an idea. And through stable tours and little whispers and stuff from things that you've either heard, read, or we've asked a few people, and they've been kind enough to give us some horses that are potentially gonna run, let alone win. So yeah, we'll do our best to give you some winners and apologies if some of these horses don't run in the right races, but hey, we haven't got a crystal ball here, and if we did, we wouldn't need to be doing these podcasts, would we? So let's start, and we will start with the Tuesday, the 18th of June, and we are going to start with the Queen Anne Stakes, which, of course, is a Group 1 over 1 mile for 4-year-olds plus, and yeah, well, I mean, there's going to be a lot of pace in the race. We had Audience looks like he's going to run. I have to obviously mention Audience just because I think I tipped him at 50 to 1, didn't I? Yeah, to the lock-in. So I don't think he's going to be left alone this time. They'd be foolish if they did. The ground probably maybe coming up a little bit softer. It's been raining here again today. The weather's been horrendous. So I wouldn't be expecting dry weather from now until Ascot starts. So yeah, Audience, Big Rock. There'll be a few vying for the lead, and I think to me, 𝗗𝗪𝗪𝗡 looks the obvious one. I think, but 9 to 2 wouldn't be something I'd be rushing to back. But I wouldn't actually be against Big Rock this time if the rain does come. But it might still be good ground. It might be a little bit on the fast side for him. And also, just forgot that Royal Scotsman's in the race as well. Danny, obviously, you know a lot about that horse, having tipped him up a million times, and then he goes and wins at Epsom the first time he makes the running. So if he turns up as well and makes the running like he did at Epsom, then
he will.
Yeah, there we go. He will. So we'll start with you, Danny. I mean, you can talk through that if you want, and selection.
I mean, it was quite frustrating, really, because obviously we spoke on the podcast about him last time, and then we found out on the day that they're going to change tactics, going to go out front, and obviously it worked extremely well for them. So I'd be very surprised if they don't follow suit and do the same tactics this time around. He clearly enjoyed that. So yeah, I fully expect him to go forward. In Spiral, in the race, she probably wants it quick. All her best form's been on quick ground, and again, no Frankie. So I think if I'd be looking to lay her currently at around 3 to 1. I would agree with you with Big Rock. I think he's the one for me. Christophe Soumillon takes over potentially. He's currently down to take the ride anyway. So yeah, I'll keep Big Rock on side. I think Christophe's obviously got plenty of experience at Ascot. So yeah, I think with the ground potentially coming up good or to the softer side, then that horse is going to be tough to beat for me.
Okay, Dawn.
Oh, I can't have a bar of Big Rock. He stumbled out. He was 15 lengths behind Audience, and I'm taking nothing away from Audience. I mean, all applause to you, 50 to 1, and you say we don't have crystal balls. Well, I think we need to kind of, not be self-deprecating on here too, because there's plenty of winners always and constantly provided. But this time, I'm completely disagreeing. And let's not forget too that In Spiral had the measure of him at 9 to 1. Yes, she's without Frankie, but she had the measure of him in his home country. Plus, there's been silly beggars going on with the trainer too, which I don't like at all, with jockey swappings as well. It's just, I can't. I don't know what way the ground's going to come up either. I'm amazed you guys haven't mentioned Factor Cheval either. I mean, he goes on good, he goes on soft. He was so good in Dubai. His form has been frank. Luxembourg, Coronation, he was 14th in Factor's race in Dubai. Measured time 1 last week at Belmont. So Factor at 4 to 1. I like. He's by Ribchester. Ribchester won in 2017. I am going to go with In Spiral, Shock Horror, and that's not the Zilphy Factor from last year or from yesterday. I haven't changed my tune. You've got Warm Heart Factor in here. Blue Stocking. She went on and won. She came close to Warm Heart. Won the Coronation in 2022. Yes, 12.75 lengths behind Audience, but you can forgive her for that. She's Frank the Tank's daughter. Frank the Tank won this. The last 2 fillies to have won this are mares. 𝗗𝗪𝗥𝗢𝗥𝗢𝗪 in 2010, 𝗋𝗋𝗋 in 2011. So 𝗋𝗋𝗋 was a Frenchie. Triple Time you mentioned, Rich, last year. 𝗗𝗰𝗥𝗢𝗪𝘥𝗙, Lord Glitters. Shout out to Shamrock Glitter as well. So out of all of them, I'm saying 𝗗𝗪𝗡 does win this. She's the only lady in the race. I really, really like her. Sharon has a good chance. He'll place. Poker Face at a whopper 33s, and Factor Cheval comes close. And I'm done.
Okay, wow.
And you can take your big rock and sling it at yourself.
Factor Cheval was beaten out of sight by Big Rock at Ascot on softer ground. So if it comes up soft, Factor Cheval is not beating Big Rock.
Big Rock isn't the same horse this year as he was last year.
That could be true.
Hasn't trained on.
Are we saying that after one run? Yeah.
That's the thing. I'm inclined to give him a. I'm inclined to. He wasn't actually that amazing before, and then he absolutely tore them apart. If it's really heavy ground, he'll probably win.
He wasn't that amazing behind 𝗗𝗪𝗡 though, and she absolutely knocked his socks off last year either.
No,
true. There's a lot of like conflicting form lines. That's the thing. It's difficult to get a gauge on them. You need to get them with their right conditions, I think. Which
𝗗𝗪𝗡 wins. End of. Move on.
Very, very bullish start from Dawn there, and we'll move on to the King Charles III Stakes, renamed because we are now in a King era, from the King Stand, Group 1. 5 furlong sprint race for 3-year-old plus. Well, where can we start here? I mean, Big Evs, what a horse. What a horse. I'm sure, Danny, as a northerner, you'll talk plenty about him. Giving weight away at York last time on seasonal reappearance was pretty good. I did like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hype about the Australian horses, as there always is, because Australians have a great record in this race. If you contested the Temple Stakes last time, that's a positive. And fillies and mares also have a really good record in this. So Asphora fits a lot of those trends. She's a mare. She's Aussie. She ran in the Temple. I know she ran 4th on ground she didn't like. I think Oisin Murphy's been booked to ride, which is got to be a positive. But yeah, there's a lot in here that I could go through. Crimson Advocate, like, won at Royal Ascot last year. Valiant Force also won at Royal Ascot last year, and nearly ran down Big Evs in the Breeders' Cup. Didn't think the horse enjoyed coming off of a bend. Obviously likes the stiff finish, which I think could suit. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we need to see the draw bias, because there probably will be one, and this will be one of the first races of the week to see where the horses are. So it's difficult. I'll probably play some small, like, exactas, trifectas on those horses. Crimson Advocate, Asphora, Valiant Force, and I'll probably stick Big Evs in just because I really like him. Danny, who'd you like?
Yeah, Big Evs is it's quite a stocky little horse. I mean, last year there wasn't much of him. He was a proper 2-year-old, but they're really happy with how he wintered. He's filled out quite a lot. He's not grown, but he's more like a bull of a horse now. He's filled out quite nicely. So it was really nice to see him win at York there at the May meeting. It was an impressive performance. He's going to be tough to beat here. I think what price is he currently? Around 4-1. It's
I think 5 to 2-ish.
Bad little price if you want to have a little each way steal, as we say. I think who's priced up 4-1? Ladbrokes and Coral. I don't think they'll be 4-1 for long, especially once this podcast ends and this goes live. Well, it might not even get to that point because I might get stuck in myself. But anyway, the other horse I like in here is Believing. Well, she was another that was very impressive just last weekend, actually. I think the favourite went off like the clappers, as he always does, but there was a little bit of a headwind. So I think the stiff 5 furlong with with front runners in the race going helter-skelter should suit her really well, because she can be a little bit keen. So yeah, she was very impressive for me at the weekend. I was maybe expecting to see her later on in the week, but I do think probably the 5 furlong at stiff track would suit her a little bit better. So yeah, I'll stick with her, and she fits the trends, obviously being a filly as well. In here, I mean, I know I say fit the trends. I know Rich loves the trends, so I'm more trying to appease Rich than the crowd. But yeah, I'll stick with Believing and Big Evs.
Okay, nice one. Dawn, who'd you like?
Well, I said there was going to be a son and a daughter winning at Ascot for Blue Point. Blue Point won this twice. Big Evs. I mean, you can't oppose him. He knows this track. He ran so well when he came back. I mean, you'd think he would have needed that first run as a pipe opener this year, but it was just easy done. I tried to take him on. I couldn't. Breeders' Cup Juve winner and the Windsor Castle winner last year. I mean, he's tailor-made for this. He's everything you could probably want. He's a proper sprinter, as they say, a body of a model, even though a small model like Kate Moss, but the backside of a cook. And he definitely has the backside of a cook. So yeah, Blue Point, as I say. Look, we heard Oxted retired this week. I loved Oxted. Oxted had won this also. Soul Power has won this too. Soul Power reminds me a lot of Moss Tucker. Now, Moss Tucker is Ken Condon's over here. He's had 8 wins. He's one of our darlings. He is a proper Irish sprinter. He was 11th in the Prix de l'Abbé last year. He won the Greenland Stakes. He won the Flying Fifth Champions Weekend. He also won on season debut at Macy's the Place over 5 furlongs and just kind of blew up the track. The rest of them looked ordinary. So I like him at each way play, whatever price he is. I actually seen Big Evs. Now, I can't tell you where. 6s earlier on too. So, I mean, 6s is so bloody decent. But yeah, I'll have Big Evs to win. I'll have Moss Tucker to place. And I've always had a sweet spot for Killian. He's my cliff horse. He'll probably be a whopper of a price in here. He was great last year with Ryan Moore, but I always have some each way play in that direction. But Blue Points, boy, Big Evs wins this. Moss Tucker burns up the track and comes close.
Okay, nice. Yeah. So Big Evs, Moss Tucker, Killian TriCast for you, Danny.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I'll just mention with Big Evs, they do have the option of going to the Commonwealth Cup, and now that is obviously against other 3-year-olds. So if they do come here, then that's telling you plenty as well. You know, willing to take on the elders. Obviously, I know it's a 5 furlong race compared to the Commonwealth Cup, which is 6. But yeah, I think this race is tailor-made for him.
Okay, lovely. Right, that takes us to the St James's Palace Stakes, another Group 1 on day 1, a 1 mile race for colts, for 3-year-old colts. And yeah, I mean, this looks like an absolute cracker. Like, just looking through the field, you think, wow, like, we've got some 3-year-olds on our hands this year, some real milers, some real proper horses. The positives for this are that they ran in both the Guineas, the Irish and the English 2000. If they've won a Group 1, especially a Guineas or a European Guineas, favourites have a good record. Aidan O'Brien has a good record, especially if they contested the 2000 Guineas. Low draw, which we don't know, and if they won the Coventry last year, well, there's a horse that fits all those fucking trends. Sorry about my language, but it doesn't even look like the horse is going to run. And I was absolutely going to be all over River Tiber. And I do need to have words again with Aidan O'Brien, because I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure. If they run this horse in the Commonwealth and not the St James's Palace, yeah, I need to be having words with Aidan on Friday when I'm there, because this is not right. It's not right. He's 25 to 1, which suggests he's not running. But if he does declare and is 25 to 1, then you may see me potless. You may see me pouring champagne all over everybody come that Tuesday night, because, yeah, that would be my selection, River Tiber. If not, then I'll just enjoy the rematch between the Market Principles and, yeah, see who comes out on top, I think. Dawn, we'll go to you. Sorry about that.
Did we not learn anything by questioning Aidan O'Brien when we stood there and watched City of Troy 2 weeks
Yeah, but
ago?
it wasn't about City of Troy that I questioned him, I don't think.
Oh, but everybody, the world and his wife and his mistress questioned Aidan O'Brien on his choice. So I think we'll leave it to Aidan this time. But I mean, I'd be more than happy for you if he does hack up at 25-1. I mean, you were there for when Mike Paddington won last year. So, and Dawn Approach won this. So shout out to Dawn Approach. The pod's
Yeah.
named after
Pod, shout out to the pod.
Glen Eagles, 𝗂𝗏𝗄𝗏, Master Craftsman, Barney Roy. I mean, you Frankel. Look at the sexy sires you have that have come out of this too. Who I found very interesting in here, and you're gonna go, no, absolutely not. But Danny will love it because there's a sandbagger from France in here called 𝗗𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪. The Frenchie who's coming over, Darlinghurst. Shanti or whether he beat First Look. Just heard First Look has been sold to what now? Racing, and they're probably going to run him at Royal Ascot too. So there's a fun fact. He also has a bit of, I go off First Look because of Shamrock Glitter. He's unbeaten on the all-weather. I mean, we could crab and say, well, you know, all-weather, is it going to translate? Well, it translated for Notable Speech. Notable Speech is in here now. 16-1 fun in the Guineas. And I'm excited to see what he actually does in here. Brazilian, well, maybe I could be saying 2 Blue Point boys are going to go on and win. Brazilian, Irish Guineas winner. Second to Notable Speech, won the Prix de Jean-Luc, which he really set my world alight that day. Unquestionable is in here at a massive price, Rich. Weren't you saying he was 40s or something if he runs? And
yes, 50s
Henry
if he runs.
Longfellow. Yeah. Henry Longfellow, is he in here? Is he running? Is he okay? Is he coming? Is he not going? Nobody really knows, do they? Because I know 𝗂𝘪𝘨 put out their things the other day, and I know he was on the list of who was going to Royal Ascot. So, I mean, I'd have a little bit of Henry in here. I'd forgive him for what happened in France. It's obvious he wasn't himself. He was unbeaten until that day. But I do think Darlinghurst, from a point of view of a racing fan and just watching the race, is going to be very interesting to watch. But I'm going to go back in at Rosalian again. I think he's absolutely exceptional. They call him Superman, and I think he is a bit of a Superman.
Okay, brilliant. Danny?
It's a little bit boring, this one, to be honest, but Notable Speech, unbelievable what that horse has achieved. Obviously, we only saw him in January of this year, so to see what he's done since then is just remarkable. William Buick has openly said that he's a lovely animal. His mind is all there. You know, nothing phases the horse. So nothing's gonna bother him at Royal Ascot, and he is very special from what we've seen. The gears that he's got, that performance in the Guineas was just remarkable. So yeah, I'll be keeping him on side. I think anything, if anything, 11-8 is maybe a little bit too short. So I don't think it's a betting proposition. But to have only 4 runs and to achieve what he has achieved in such a short space of time is pretty remarkable. So yeah, I'll be keeping that horse on side. Probably, like I say, won't be much of a betting race, but it's always a very good race to watch, with some very good animals involved. So yeah, Notable Speech would be the winner for me.
Okay, brilliant. Any other horses on day one for anybody? I've got a few. Okay, Danny, we'll go back to you then.
Coventry race.
Yep.
Anything Carl Burke sends out as a 2-year-old seems to win.
Yep.
So there was a strong word for Underseat at York on debut. He pulled clear with Richard Spencer horse, which reopposes potentially in here. Now the Richard Fahey horse in the race was called Loom. That horse has come out and won nicely at Ripon last week. So yeah, I'll be keeping Underseat on side there. because, I think he's got bags of improvement to come, and he represents the mighty 𝗗𝗪𝗥𝗢𝗥 with his formidable force of 2-year-olds. I think there's another one in here of his called 𝗗𝗪𝗪𝗡. He also did everything right on debut. He was actually well fancied at Hamilton, and if he goes here, he's a big price at around 40-1. And there is another horse in here representing the Fahey team. Obviously, Richard Fahey's done really well with his 2-year-olds as well. Actually, done real well with every horse of late. He's been cleaning up everywhere he goes. Trebles left, right, and centre. Another treble at Wetherby the other day. But he's got Catalyst in here. Now, he ran in Scotland at Hamilton, was it? I'm pretty sure it was Hamilton on the day we were at Chantilly. Now, he challenged on the outside that day into the clear space. Could have quite easily showed signs of greenness. He didn't. He was straight and true and did it very nicely as well. So, Catalyst and 𝗗𝗪𝗡 would be my two. And if Milford comes in here and he's around the price he is still now at 40s, he'd be a bet as well.
Okay, lovely. Dawn, is there anything now, or do you want to add them at the end?
No. Well, while we're on the Tuesday Ascot Stakes.
Yep.
I have PTSD from 2 years ago. I was picking up my cases to go to Ascot on the Wednesday, and I just landed, sat in Heathrow Terminal 2 and watched Pied Piper have an absolute nightmare along the rail with Jamie Spencer. But Pied Piper has been sold in the dispersal sale of Caldwell's for 570,000. And he is now going to the Ascot Stakes again with Jamie. He's 5-1 at the moment. And I definitely don't think he's not going without a chance. I just hope it isn't same thing, different year. In saying that, look, he's bred by the late Queen. He was a triumph. He was so good in so many races. It's going to be a sentimental bet for a lot of people. Was he expensive to follow on the flat 2 years ago at Ascot? He was. He was just touched off on the 𝗗𝗪𝗥𝗢𝗥 last year. But I am going to have a tickle again for old time's sake. I mean, I've had cuddles with the horse. I know him personally. I'm not going to leave him, and I'm only going to be raising the roof should he win with Spencer. I also, in here, Gordon also sends 𝗗𝗏𝗏𝗏. 𝗗𝗏𝗏𝗏 actually ran here last year in the Queen's Vase. He was 14th. But 𝗗𝗏𝗏𝗏 was bought out Andrew Balding's, now in Gordon's. He goes off Ballyburn form, believe it or not. He's 16-1 fun here. 𝗗𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 McDonough is up and 𝗗𝗏𝗏 on the outside. If you ever watch 𝗗𝗏𝗏, and we have a not so polite name for 𝗗𝗏𝗏, we call him deep penetration when he goes on the outside, because if there's any man that can get a horse up, it's 𝗗𝗏𝗏 McDonough. So 𝗗𝗏𝗏 at 16-1 fun on the down. If the wheels fall off Pied Piper, I think he's value.
Okay, perfect. I've got a couple, and the first one is in the Wolferton, and that is 𝗃𝗏𝗏𝗏, who is trained by John Gosden, bought by the Wathnans recently, so that means Doyle will ride, and not Schumacher. Take with that what you will. And after a really, really good run, finishing first on his side at Newmarket, but just getting beat in the Suffolk Stakes last time and staying on really, really well, actually. I think that with a furlong further this time and, stiff finish, that'll really suit. In the same race, I probably can't not have a saver on Crypto Force, just because he was one of my favourite horses. He's had a lot of injuries. He actually went to Gosden's and never ran for Gosden. He's now back over in Ireland, and he's run okay this year. He came third last time to White Birch and Auguste Rodin. All right, he was 8 lengths behind Auguste Rodin, so it's a long way back. But he won the Bearers for 2 years ago. He can't, like they say, form is temporary, class is permanent, and all of that. And if he does retain ability, he still needs to be looked at. So yeah, they would be my two: 𝗃𝗏𝗏𝗏 and Crypto Force for the Wolferton, and Eastern Legend in the last, which I think is the Copper Horse. He is 𝗔𝗪𝗪𝗡, and he's 20-1+ in this. Form ties in with 𝗵𝗲 Road, who runs earlier on the card. So if 𝗵𝗲 Road runs well, then Eastern Legend is a horse that I would probably be backing in a race that looks very, very difficult. Whether he runs or not, I don't know. But if he does, and there's still 20s, then I'll probably have a little play on him on day one to finish up.
Okay.
If we move to day two, then the 19th of June, we'll start with the Duke of Cambridge. Sorry, you all right, Danny?
Yeah, I'm struggling a bit with cold.
Poor Danny. That's dedication, Danny.
This is class. This is class work.
I'm trying not to sneeze on the Zoom.
Okay, the 19th of June, first race we're going to cover is the Duke of Cambridge Stakes, which is a Group 2 for fillies and mares over just short of 1 mile. I don't know why they do that. Like 7 yards, just make the race 7 yards longer, and then it's actually a mile.
Well, they might well do.
Right.
They might. Yeah, we'll see what they do if they move the rail or whatever. Yeah, this race, I don't really know a huge amount about. Favourite or second favourite, contested the Dahlia Stakes, especially if it won. Winning course form, has won or placed at Royal Ascot the previous year. Is trained by Sir Michael Stoute, John or 𝗂𝗑𝗪, or in France and owned by Cheveley Park Stud. I don't know if any of the horses fit those trends. But Ocean Jewel looked really good last time. And I know, Dawn, you were actually there, weren't you?
I was, yeah. She's Mother Earth's half sister too. We all remember,
yes,
you know, the lovely Mother Earth. But now she's a good winner. She was bought for 230k at the Orby sales, and that Orby sales, for some reason, the last two are really throwing up some goodies this time. But Willie McCreary knows the time of day before the time of day happens. We've seen him tonight with the 40-1 winner. I mean, that horse came out of the skies. That was incredible. That's probably one of the races of the year. So yeah, I have her down here in my notes. She won a Group 3 at Leopardstown as well. That's what kind of brought my attention to her. So I think Willie will have her right. He'll have her ready to go, you know. I have Running Line is an expensive horse to follow, and I think she was very expensive to follow in the Princess Elizabeth Stakes when Breege won. I have Breege down here too. I had forgotten that Breege had been fifth to Blue Rose Sienne as well, or Blue Sen Rose in the Prix Marcel Boussac. So you're going all the way back there to Breege as well. I wouldn't disregard her. You know, again, I say with John Quinn, he knows his women, you know, like you go back to High Field Princess, he'll have her good to go. Rogue Millennium.
Yeah.
Poor old Dylan Brown McGonigal got an absolute nightmare, and then got an absolute nightmare of abuse, Harold Adam, as well. It wasn't his fault. She got stuck. That was it. She was expensive. She was sold in the sales for 1.65 million or something. Teen Valley have a share in her. They're gonna want her to be winning. She's not going over here without them wanting to win. Third to Ocean Jewel. Will she get better to Ocean Jewel this time?
Yes.
7 to Tuesday in the Epsom Oaks a few years ago as well, and second in the Matron Champions Weekend to 𝗂𝗑𝗪𝗓. So do I think, look, Saffron Beach won this, and Saffron Beach was such an amazing girl. So I think Joseph will go over here. 2 years ago, you've seen State of Rest win, part owners, Teen Valley. This year, I think Rogue Millennium wins this. I think she's very good. I'm not going with the expensive price tag. I think she was very unlucky at the Curragh, just very unlucky. I think she is well ahead the rest of them in here, well ahead. But I do think Ocean Jewel is worth each way play. And watch Running Line. If you're going to clip her again, she gets very sweaty in the paddock. That could be her detriment.
Okay.
But no, it's Rogue Millennial for me. And then Ocean Jewel each way play.
Yeah, well, Ocean Jewel has to give £3 now as well. So that could be enough to swing it in Rogue Millennium's favour as well. So Danny, you're nodding your head in agreement there. So
yeah, I mean, 𝗗𝗪𝗡 obviously won the race last year, so it's hard to knock that. But there's another one in here representing James Tate. If she runs here, Royal Dress, there's no reason why she wouldn't run here. She's got form tied in with 𝗵𝗔𝗪. She was unlucky last time behind 𝗵𝗔𝗪 and 𝗋𝘪𝘨𝗪𝗏 that we spoke about earlier. She was another one who was very unlucky in running. She managed to win on a seasonal reappearance, and she was kind of just idling a bit. She was still learning on the job really, and improving for the run. So yeah, that last time, very unlucky not to win. So if she improves again, then she can go close. She's been placed quite well by James Tate, so she fully deserves to be testing herself at this level. So yeah, I'll keep her on side at around, I think she's 16th. But yeah, 𝗗𝗪𝗡 is going to be the solid one. Obviously after winning the race last year and coming back to defend her crown.
Okay, great. Didn't even mention Laurel, the favourite. So 𝗗𝗪𝗡 it is. Next race,
Well,
Prince of Wales.
It is hard to mention the horse that's obviously not run for over a year. She's
yeah.
I mean, but if anyone's going to have a right for this, it's going to be John 𝗂𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗏.
True. That's a good point. Prince of Wales Stakes, Group 1, 1 mile, 2 furlongs, a 4-year-old plus. This is right. It looks a match race, and I think we might have a disagreement again here, because I've got a feeling that one of you will go for one and the other will go for the other. I will just say that on all known form, you can't look past 𝗋𝗪𝗏 on form, because we're going to end up with a small field here, and yeah, Gussie can come back as he did last year at Epsom. I don't think it was a bad performance either when he got beat by 𝗋𝗪𝗏, but just 𝗋𝗪𝗏 looks, as you will say, Dawn, a proper unicorn this year, has properly come of age. And I think
proper Ulysses.
Yes, and a proper Ulysses.
Proper
yeah,
Ulysses.
Exactly. So
I think Ulysses.
I think
yes.
If I was going to have to, if I was, you have to have a bet, gun to your head, it would be 𝗋𝗪𝗏. For me, Dawn, I feel like you might be going the other way.
Yeah, I am. I'm gonna go Gussie, and me and Gussie, we have a love-hate relationship. We have a love-hate relationship.
No.
So you basically are gonna have your Derby first and your Derby third going toe to toe again, and then your 𝗃𝑠coil Cup first and your 𝗃𝑠coil Cup second. But Gussie, I stood and I got 12 cold showers Guineas weekend. And I just went, when he came into the parade ring, he looked fit, but I thought he had a bit of a head on him, and I thought he was thinking about other things. So I hope when he does go to Ascot, he isn't thinking about the ladies, he's thinking about his job. But look, he's the double Derby winner. Forget Dubai, that wasn't him. Champion Stakes winner. Yeah, okay, when he went to Ascot last year, he pulled a little bit of a, shall we say, he pulled a little bit of a Gussie, and that's what he does. But you go 2-1-1-1, duck egg, 1-1, duck egg, 1-1, duck egg, 2. He's due his win, and I think his win is the Prince of Wales. I do adore 𝗋𝗪𝗏. I mean, he was flawless in the 𝗃𝑠coil Cup. He was flawless this season. John Murphy trained a champion chase winner. People forget that. And George Murphy, his son, came out and he said, we've waited a long time for a horse like this. And I mean, he was well worth the wait. Like, he's been second in a Dante as well. So I'd even be brave. He's 66 for the Arc at the moment. 66 for the Arc. So I mean, he won't be 66s for the Arc should he go and win this. But I think it's going to be Auguste Rodin, 𝗋𝗪𝗏. I'll just give a shout to Blue Rose Cien. I'm sad she's been taken out of Chris Heads. The one time she did come over, she was 4th. She had an absolute nightmare in the UK in the Nassam. She's got a change of jockey now too. The jockey who had won on her 4 times has been taken off as well. It's a bit like Game of Thrones, what's going on with these horses. But I loved her when she bet Jackie O last year at Longchamp again, but we're not talking about Longchamp at the moment. We're talking about Royal Ascot. So I'm going to go and say August Rodin and White Birch. There's my forecast.
It'll be interesting. You say Blue Rose Sen. If Blue Rose Sen runs in this, then surely that is a negative. That's a negative to Gussie, because she will be flaunting it around that parade ring. And if he is a bit coltish and got his mind on other things, if there's a filly in the race, that could be getting his mind.
You put Vic under his nose.
Yeah, maybe you have to do that. You have to do that. Something under there
and a
to
good
stop
lip
him.
chain.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Chesney.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
put those black balls away.
To me, it looks like it's going to be a small field, because some of these horses wouldn't be the prices they are. Anti-post. So, Danny, you were shaking your head. You even almost fell off your chair there. So I assume it's.
I was just very surprised that Dawn has gone against White Birch, to be honest, because she made sure she told me plenty about White Birch when I put up Max's on the second start in the.
I mean, that unicorn destroyed that.
Yeah, well and truly. So that was when I kind of took notice, I suppose, of White Birch, and he's a horse who's not looked back really. Typical Ulysses, improved with age, and well and truly beat August Rodin last time. So I think it'd be very hard to oppose White Birch, and I'm surprised to not see him favourite, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, I'll keep White Birch on side. I'll just mention 𝗗𝗪𝗪𝗏 in here. Don't think we'll go here. Probably go to the Wolfton. But if you watch that last start, he absolutely fluffed his lines and was running on to be never near a fifth. So he has had issues. They have told plenty about that. And yeah, I'm not sure where he goes in here, but very talented animal. And Owen Burrows does take his time with horses. So yeah, I'll keep 𝗗𝗪𝗪𝗏 on side wherever he turns up. I think it's going to be the Wolfton on the Tuesday instead, though. But yeah, White Birch going to be very tough to beat in here for me. August Rodin might even be a lay, to be perfectly honest, if he's around 6-4, 11-8, and if he's following the Blue Rose Sen around the parade ring, then he's going to be an even bigger lay.
It'll be wee baguette.
Blue Rose Sen might be getting the Blue Rose Sen might be getting the lay, because he'll be trying to mount. So yeah, any other day two fancies? I'll start. I've got one, and it's in the Royal Hunt Cup, which is really quite a difficult race to find the winner, I think. But yeah, I'll give it a go. And Wild Tiger for Saeed bin Suroor is my pick. He has a really good record in the race. The horse is a 5-year-old, but has clearly had some issues and is really unexposed and not had many runs for a 5-year-old. And so there's still improvement to come, I think, from this horse. 9 stone or more is a positive when you're carrying 9 stone or more in this race. So 9 stone exactly for this horse. So I think that will be my pick at about 14-1. Again, we don't know the draw, and there'll probably be a little bit of a bias, but I'll stick with Wild Tiger as my only other fancy for day 2. Dawn, you got anything else for day 2?
One of my 5, 6, 7 to follow, I can't remember now. I'm mob-handed with my following for Royal Ascot is Diego's Make Haste, a Blue Point daughter, and this is the daughter that I say will win at Ascot of Blue Points. They turned down, I think it was 740k or 760k from Al Waknan Racing. So yeah, she was bought for 75k, book 1 tats back in October, and this was always the plan for her. And the speeds, I'm starting to get into spades. I'm starting to get into the way of thinking. I've been taught well, although I've been dragged by my hair to do it. But Make Haste just absolutely takes them all here at Royal Ascot. Yeah, she is the best 2-year-old I have seen this year in the flesh, performance-wise. And I would say as well, just keep in mind, Ascot trials day at Naas. Last year, Portaventura won the race that Fairy Godmother did. Portaventura then went on and won the Albany at Royal Ascot last year. So what I'll say is, Fairy Godmother is 10-1 at the moment.
No.
Have a little bit of each way play on her, but it's Make Haste and the rest for Diego.
Danny, any other fancies for the second day?
Yeah, do you know what? I've actually got one in the Royal Hunt Cup, believe it or not.
Have you?
Yeah. I think joint favourite currently. Real game for Richard Hughes. He's a huge horse. He's massive, but they've been really keen to keep him under wraps and try and protect that mark, I suppose. I mean, he's only had one run in a field over 20 horses, and that was at Newbury last time in April. Now, he did only finish 10th, but he did suffer plenty of interference. He was never able to challenge, and once beaten, he was obviously looked after to protect that mark. I think he's been plotted up for this, to be perfectly honest. Softer ground will suit. If there's any firm in the going, I can't see them going with him because, like I say, he's a big horse. But Richard Hughes is a dab hand with horses like him, and yeah, I think he's around 12-1 at the moment. So he's going to be a really nice horse. He's definitely being plotted up for this handicap.
Okay, brilliant. We move to day 3, the 20th of June, and we'll start with the 𝗷𝗪𝗪𝗥𝗢𝗥𝗢 Stakes, which is a Group 2 for fillies over 1.5 miles, 1 mile 4 furlongs. This looks quite a strong race again. Obviously, Royal Ascot is full of strong races, but every time I look through the fields, I'm like, wow, that's good, that's good, that's good. So, yeah, there's a lot of good horses running next week. Positives for this race are, has won a group or a listed race, trained in Ireland or by John and Thady Gosden, contested the Oaks Trial at Newbury, was a last time out maiden winner, owned by Godolphin, and didn't run in a group race as a 2-year-old. Now, try and find horses that fit all of those. Let's not even bother trying. I have seen one horse in here who I said that I would back next time if it was on a flatter track, a less unforgiving track like Epsom, and Dance Sequence is entered here. And yeah, if she runs here, she's got to have a chance.
Yeah.
She's got an entry for the Prix de Diane too.
Oh, is she still in the Prix de Diane?
Yeah.
So she might be running on Sunday then. I'll have to make sure I back her for that if she runs in that. But if she doesn't, then yeah, the 𝗷𝗪𝗪𝗥𝗢𝗥𝗢 for me for Dance Sequence. She clearly didn't handle the track in the Oaks at all, and still managed to finish second and run really well. It was literally like half jumping on the ground there. So that would be my selection if she does run. If not, let's hope she wins the French Oaks instead. Dawn, will come to you.
She doesn't. I've told you about that.
What?
Tamfana.
Oh, Tamfana wins the Oaks. Okay, so if she
goes
if she goes for the French Oaks, she doesn't win the French Oaks. Tamfana does. But if she skips the French Oaks and goes to the 𝗷𝗪𝗪𝗥𝗢𝗥𝗢, then she wins that instead.
So basically, what we're saying, Godolphin, is go for the 𝗷𝗪𝗪𝗥𝗢𝗥𝗢.
Yes, that's what we're saying. Yeah. All right, Dawn, we'll come to you.
No, actually, Chris Hayes is going to win and do a 𝗗𝗪𝗪𝗡 and win on Candala for the Aga Khan in the Prix de Diane. That's what we want to really happen. And then we can hype Chris up for the wonderful brilliance that he is, because a lot of the media, and this is a quick quip, need to cop on and need to start speaking about how good a rider he is. We had to listen to it last year when he went with Shahira to Royal Ascot. He delivers time and time again. And what he did in the Oaks was copybook, Chris. He is a fantastic jockey, and I just wish him all the best wherever he goes, whether it's the back end of 𝗂𝘏𝑢gain or the front end of Breeders' Cup. He's just brilliant. Now, there's my speech done. Anyway, I do have Dance Sequence starred here, but then I seen she is in the Prix de Diane. I'd quite like her either way, because I thought behind Elzia, yeah, you're right, Rich, she didn't handle the track. She didn't like it. Opera Singer obviously goes for the coronation if you're going by the betting. She would have, I say take Opera Singer wherever she goes, that way. But yeah, I love Port Fairy. I adore Port Fairy. She's also got the Pretty Polly and the Irish Oaks on the books to come. Second to Forest Fairy by a head in the Chester Oaks. And she's got the Lady Doris form in there, and she's also got Galileo Dame form in there. And the two of them are getting very close to winning and will both win this season too. I will give a quick mention because Study of Man's progeny are doing so well this season. Francophone. Yes, you have a lot of all-weather form here for the Johnsons, and she was very good in the Fashion Stakes when she won at Goodwood. I thought she was very, very good. I think she's worth each way play. But for me in here, it's Port Fairy because I do think Dance Sequence goes to the 𝗵𝗠 and obviously Opera Singer, she goes to the Commonwealth or the Coronation, sorry.
Great, Danny.
I thought I had the winner of this race a couple of times, and both occasions they've let me down. Friendly Soul, God knows what happened to her at York. She's completely unsteerable. She was the first one that I had my eye on for this race. I don't even know if anything's come to light since then. They've been very quiet on that. Unless anybody knows anything, then by all means, please tell us, because, yeah, she was just completely unsteerable. And then Danielle, who's not really improved as such. So I think you'd be having a stab at the dark if you decided to back those two. Does the Dermot Weld horse go here? That won the Oaks?
No, they're saying more of an autumn campaign, Danny. So I'm nearly 100% sure. Now, I mean, you know, with Dermot, he could surprise you, but as far as I can tell from what they're saying in the press and that, she doesn't go here. Otherwise, I would have hyped her up to the last.
Yeah. I mean, they have got the other one in there as well, haven't they? That Elizabeth Jane. She'd be of interest if he sends her over, because obviously everything that Dermot Weld sends to these sorts of races, you've got to keep a keen eye on. So if he does send her over, then I'll keep Elizabeth Jane on side. Other than that, obviously it's very difficult to pin your mast at the moment without knowing exactly what's running. As we say, Dance Sequence going to 𝗵𝗠. But yeah, I'll wait and see. But I will keep Elizabeth Jane on side for the Dermot Weld yard.
Yeah.
Rafe Beckett has got obviously Forest Fairy. I still think we're yet to see the best of her, and La Passionaria as well. How she's improving, but Rafe Beckett's been doing very well with his fillies of late, and they are improving. So they're looking like the horses that I'll look to have an eye on heading into the race. But yeah, other than that, it's tough for me.
It's tough, yeah. It's tough to pick one out when you don't know what's running. Yeah, it is difficult.
Especially when the ones that you have had an eye on for God knows how long have let you down.
Yeah, well, that too. Okay.
I just could not believe
Port Fairy runs anyway, so I'm okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's the winner then. That we've only got probably one runner out of it. Also, Port Fairy runs and wins.
And Francophone, each way play.
Yeah. Gold Cup, Group 1, 2 miles, 4 furlongs, 4-year-old plus. Well, I mean, there's been some incredible winners of this race over the years. Multiple winners. 2 short in the market is usually where you're looking. If you're trained by Aidan O'Brien or you've won it before, or the Queen's Vase. 4-year-olds have a good record. If you contested the Henry II Stakes or won earlier in the season, then that is also a positive. Low draw is also preferable. I mean, yeah, we don't know the draw. So, I mean, I'm just going to say one word. I haven't really looked into the race too much because just 𝗵𝗠. And that's me done. So, Dawn?
No.
Yeah, look, he's 4 to 5 on. I mean, he was good in the Levmus. I adore 𝗵𝗠. I was there the 2 years ago when he won. I've been there at most of his parties. The Ledger, we'd had a long time between him in France and then to the Irish Ledger last year. And the Irish Ledger last year, it left more questions than it gave answers. They're very happy with him. Aidan says he's a bit lazy. So, I mean, in the Lev Moss, I thought Queenstown was coming for him. Queenstown was very close to him. He's been marred with injury, so it's great to see him come back. And you can't ignore everything that he has done. And I mean, he's a Royal Ascot connoisseur as well,
Yeah.
you know, and he's a full package. And they want to make him into the next Yates. I don't think we're going to see another Yates, but he's a gorgeous, brilliant horse. He's not going to be value in here, and should he win, I'll only be too happy for my old King 𝗋𝘪𝘄, who nearly gave me a lap dance in France, to go out and win. He's a proper horse and a proper Gold Cup horse. Willie Mullins is very bullish. He's coming for the jugular here. He wants to win it. And I would quite like Vauban in here. I mean, he won the Copper Horse last year, and I hyped him with the stablemate Absurd. Now, Absurd does have an entry in here, but he's got an entry also for, I think it's the Hardwick too. Look, you've got the second in the Yorkshire Cup to Gavaletto. That was a good second. That was a pipe opener. They have Melbourne Cup in mind again to go back. I know a lot of people got their fingers burnt, but we do have to remember with Melbourne Cup, it's very buzzy. They're probably seeing way more horses and people that they've ever seen in their lifetime. You have to remember, a lot of people in Ireland, on a quiet day, you're not going to have as many people as you're going to have at the Melbourne Cup. So that does affect horses. At the end of the day, they're not machines. We don't question King Willie Mullins. So I'm going to have Vauban at each way play. Gregory's in here at 6-1. Continuous, I don't think, runs in this race. Tower London is 20s. Coltrane. I've starred Sweet William because I quite liked him at Sandown last time. You were there, Rich, for Sweet William. I don't know, did he set your world alight?
He's an absolute lunatic of a horse. He doesn't want to run. And then suddenly he goes, oh, actually, I do. And then he's like, oh, I'm in front. Nah, I don't want to run again. He's a very, very difficult horse to ride, I would assume. But he's talented. He's got talent clearly, but he doesn't. I don't think he loves the job. He's a bit like a schoolboy or schoolgirl. You tell to do something and he does the opposite. So I think you've got to sort of kid him into races a little bit.
Well, Sweet William isn't so sweet. But anyway, it's going to come home to Ireland. It's coming home to Ireland. Same way the Cheltenham Gold Cup comes home to Ireland. And it'll either come home in champion trainer Aidan O'Brien's boot or champion jumps trainer England and Ireland, King Willie Mullins. 𝗋𝘋𝘄, the obvious. Vauban, 7-1 fun. I'm having Sweet William as a little bit of a tickle. We have to give you a place at least. But yeah, it'll be 𝗋𝘋𝘄 or Vauban for me. But I'm not going to be very, very bullish about 𝗋𝘋𝘄. As a horse, I love him. To win this, I will love him. As a racing fan, I want to win. As a racing fan, I want Vauban to win. So either or for me. I'm sorry, I can't split my two chestnut boys.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fair. I think 𝗋𝘋𝘄 is. I mean, it's not going to be one where my dad goes, just have your bet on 𝗋𝘋𝘄 for the week, is it? But yeah, Danny, you're shaking your head again here. You're against Dawn in nearly every race, it looks like. And I think you clearly either like David Manuzier's horse or you like Gregory. So,
yeah. I mean, first things first, I got PTSD as soon as Dawn mentioned Melbourne Cup and Vauban. So thank you very much for that.
66-1. 66-1 we had.
Oh, you're welcome.
Very difficult to take. So yeah, I've just got that flashing back, that 4 o'clock in the morning alarm clock that meant I was very tired the next morning, waking up after the disaster class, I suppose, as we can call it now. But anyway, moving swiftly on, as Gregory will be moving swiftly on past 𝗋𝘋𝘄 in this race, because Gregory, he has been screaming out for a proper trip, and he is the improving horse in here. He is the next forthcoming of this race. I am a big fan of the horse. That run last time was a perfect pipe opener for this race, and they were shouting about this race as soon as that race was over, pretty much. So yeah, I will be all over Gregory in here, and 𝗋𝘪𝘥𝘥𝘢. He is so talented, but he literally just pulls himself up when he hits the front. Like, I think he's obviously a different horse now as to what he was earlier in his career, where he's that talented that he can do what he's doing and pull himself up and still win these contests, which is crazy. But I just don't think he's capable of that this time around. You're taking odds on for that, knowing full well that he's got his quirks at the moment, this later in his career, I suppose. So yeah, I will be opposing 𝗋𝘪𝘥𝘥𝘢, and Gregory will probably be one of my stronger plays of the week, especially if I can still get an each way price on the day. I mean, Trawlerman, does he go here? Because if you fancy 𝗋𝘪𝘥𝘥𝘢, you've got to fancy Trawlerman based off the run at the back end of last year at Ascot, where he beat 𝗋𝘋𝘪𝘥𝘥𝘢. What did he beat him? Beat him a neck that day in the long distance cup. Yeah. So I think Trawlerman would be one to keep on side as well. Both 𝗗𝗪𝘥𝘥𝘪𝘵 horses. So yeah, I'll keep them on side. Vauban, I would love him to win this because I do love Vauban. I don't mean it, Vauban. Don't listen to me about the Melbourne Cup. It's not your fault. Love you long time.
Love you long time.
Love you long time.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Vauban the man.
Yeah, Vauban the man. Other day 3 fancies. I mean, I've may as well start again here. I have one in the Britannia, and I am very thankful to Mr. George for getting back to me and saying that Involvement for the Crisford team is a horse that he thinks should line up and should get into the Britannia, and that they really like the horse. Obviously, it's not inside information or anything like that. It's just trying to find out at this point who runs in what races. So ran really well last time behind Nelly Laylax, who's a good horse, and was closing to the line. I watched the race back, and I also watched the race before that, and the horse was closing again at Epsom. So clearly, the horse will probably like Ascot with a stiff finish, and suits the running style of the horse. So I think Involvement in the Britannia has a good chance. I don't have any prices, unfortunately. I don't know if the horse is even going to run, but if it does, that will be my horse for day 3. Dawn.
No, I got nothing for you.
Nothing for day 3. Danny.
No.
Tropical Storm runs in the Norfolk for the 𝗗𝗔𝗪𝗡. Now, they are quite sweet on his chances in this race. Got form tied in with the Actor and 𝗗𝗪𝗪𝗡. I think they're both entered in the Coventry Stakes. So if they do well on the Tuesday, then expect to see Tropical Storm maybe shortened for Norfolk. But as we know, it's very difficult to know exactly what's going to be entered in these contests. And he does come into the race with just 2 runs under his belt, and he hasn't managed to win. So he will be a bigger price. But they do like him a fair bit, and obviously the 𝗗𝗪𝗪𝗡 have got plenty of nice 2-year-olds. So that's worth taking into account and maybe keeping them on side at a bigger price in that race. A lot of horses, they seem to enjoy more of a cavalry charge, I suppose, than some of the races that you see early on in the season. And these 2-year-olds, as we know, they can improve a chunk. So don't discount horses that haven't won running in these group races like the Norfolk Stakes. You know, especially coming from big yards like that. If they're willing to put them in, then they're obviously keen on their chances.
I think the Norfolk actually is one race that it even says, "Don't be scared by debutants." So there you go. There you go. That just shows you that these horses are improving at different rates. And if one a few weeks before looks like a superstar, then and it hadn't looked like anything before that, then they enter them and they could go well. I think it was the Norfolk.
Yeah, well,
that Valiant Force won last year, wasn't it? That was the Norfolk, 150 to 1.
Yeah,
There you go.
Was
So
that the Norfolk? I'm sure.
I think it was the Norfolk. I think.
Yeah.
And was
And
it
the
year
Riddler
before
the year before.
And the Riddler, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
So basically, back then, a big price.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of horses, especially 2-year-olds, a lot of trainers obviously put the guns to the head, I suppose, to get them to win first time up, and then they're kind of a little bit fried second, third start, that kind of thing. So anything that's brought along steadily is improving. I'm not saying obviously all horses that win first time out are like that, but it's worth considering.
Yeah, definitely. The 21st of June is the Friday, and myself and Dawn will be there. It's the longest day of the year. We'll start with the Commonwealth Cup, which is a Group 1, 6 furlong race. It hasn't been run that many times, I don't think. I don't know when the first year of it was. Positives are that it was that you contested the Sandy Lane Stakes. You're dropping down in trip from the 2,000 guineas. You're officially rated 114 plus, and you are a filly. My selection here, I'm going to give him another chance. I'm going to give Van Dijk one more go. He ran
What do you mean one more? He had one bad run.
Yeah,
and it wasn't even that bad run.
And I'm going to give him. He ran pretty flat in the Sandy Lane, but it's first time out. I'll give him one more go. Allow him the benefit of the doubt. He's working well at home. I've been told, reliably informed, and hopefully he gets a favourable draw. Another horse, which is a horse that we hold in high regard, myself and Dawn, is 𝗗𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏. Do you want to say it, Dawn?
No.
Okay, not even going to say the name after last time. The highest rated horse in the field. What a horse! What a great horse. We actually tipped him for the last pod, didn't we? Or was it the pod before last? And he won.
Did, yeah.
Yep. And yeah, we can't ignore him. So there's a few others in here that may run, may not. Relief Rally, it's probably too good a race for her. I'm not sure if she can run. And yeah, this will probably be the race that River Tiber, if he runs at Royal Ascot, probably be the race that he ends up in. And well, he won't win this, and then they'll be stepping him up to a mile next time. So yeah, Dawn, who'd you like?
Well, you mentioned the Sandy Lane there. Now, should everything go right, it will be the longest day. No, wrong. Should everything go wrong, it will be the longest day on planet Earth. Should everything go right, it'll be the shortest day on planet Earth at Royal Ascot. But yeah, you mentioned the Sandy Lane there with Van Dijk. One blip on his copybook. You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I agree with Danny there. The 𝗗𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗪𝗏 form that comes from the Guineas, and he was third to 𝗗𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗪𝗏. Look, he was only done by a neck too. He could have been second that day as well. So I really like him. I think he's worth another chance. River Tiber, he's not on the list with Coolmore, and I'm kind of taking that as face value that he wasn't on the list. Maybe he's being kept for Derby weekend. 𝗗𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗪𝗏, I thought was absolutely excellent in the Royal Ascot Trials day. I thought he was the only winner in it. Adrian Murray waxed lyrical afterwards. I thought he looked a lot more mature than last year too. I mean, he's bet Unquestionable, and we've seen what Unquestionable done in breeders. He's going to go off at a bigger price because it's Adrian Murray, and Adrian Murray will be a smaller trainer. But I think it'd be a lot nicer to see Adrian, spread it out a bit, have a smaller trainer, have a winner here. I think he's definitely worth a tickle in this. Give Me the Beat Boys went down on his sword. A lot of people said Royal Ascot Trials Day at Naas. Had Shane taken another route, he might have caught BF. I'm not even going to attempt that the second time. And he was bought at the boutique sale last year. So he always had Royal Ascot in mind. His win at Navan this year, it was great to see him back. Jesse Harrington and Shane Foley are on absolute fire. It would not surprise me if Gimme the Beat Boys goes out and wins this. I think he has a rock solid chance here. But the 3 horses that I've mentioned here, you can make cases for all of them. I'd be more than happy to see the 3 of them win, but would I like it to come home to Ireland? I really, really would. I think Gimme the Beat Boys has very, very, very solid chances here, and I think he's probably one of the best chances of the week for Jesse Harrington.
Okay, lovely. That's a good shout. 20-1. Danny.
I'm going to test you both here now. I put up a horse on the last podcast for the Commonwealth Cup. Can you remember which one it was? Clive Cox.
Chasseur.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big fan of Chasseur. Big fan of Clive Cox sprinters. Just saw did everything right last year. He had 2 blips. One was in Deauville, very soft ground behind Van Dijk, and then the other was on very quick ground behind Van Dijk. Both times he had excuses. He pulled extremely hard at Newmarket on his final start, but he reappeared at Ascot in May and was pretty devastating, to be fair. Career best performance, beating A Day in Devon. Obviously, A Day in Devon has come out and improved on that. And yeah, he suits a Commonwealth Cup for me. I think they'll go a good pace. We know he's got course form, he's got distance form at the track, and I think there aren't many better trainers out there of sprinters than Clive Cox for me. So I'll be keeping Chasseur on side in the race. And also Elite Status. Big fan of Elite Status last year. Heading into the Norfolk, was on some juicy prices before bumping into some big priced winner, Valiant Force. And Malk is also in this. He was second at 66-1 that day. Excuse me. But Elite Status, he was a bull of a horse last year as a 2-year-old. He's improved physically and mentally. He was pretty devastating himself when beating Relief Rally in the 𝗗𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏 Stakes at Newbury, which is a listed race. Beating A Day in Devon into 3rd that day and Malk into 4th. Travelled so well and quickened away from them pretty impressively. And I think Clifford Lee came out and said that as soon as a horse came to him, he went again. So he's got plenty of ability, and I think he'll be tough to beat with a winter on his back heading here after winning that race last time. And if I'm keeping them on side, then I've got to give Malk a shout at a big price for Richard Fahey. Obviously, Richard Fahey's been extremely impressive of late with all types of horses. Anything that he sends to Ascot is going to be one to keep an eye on. Malk finished 4th, obviously behind Elite Status that last run. He was keeping on quite nicely. Probably needed the run, will improve for it. And we're second at a big price in the Norfolk last year, so could be a big price in the Commonwealth Cup this year, and possibly run on into a place. So yeah, I'll have Chasseur as the main each way bet, Elite Status as an each way bet, and also Malk.
Okay, lovely. That's quite a few selections in that race. The next race is the Coronation Stakes, Group 1, for fillies over 1 mile. Again, this race looks sensational, as I keep saying about every race. The positives here are that the Irish 1,000 Guineas winner always does well. Finished in the first 6 in the UK 1,000 Guineas. Finished in the first 3 in the French 1,000. The favourite has a good record. If you're French, you're pretty good. If you want a pattern race as a 2-year-old and you're drawn high, I am really looking forward. This is probably race of the day for me to see these horses in the flesh. Obviously, Dawn, you've seen a couple of them before.
Loves the girls.
Yeah, having been. I mean, we've seen a Malka at Newbury, but yeah, you've seen these horses when you were at the Guineas in Ireland. I think one that goes under the radar a little bit here at a price is 𝗗𝗏𝗏𝗥𝗢𝗏. I think that's how you pronounce it. I mean, it shouldn't go under the radar. The horse won the French Guineas. And I think if there's a little bit of rain, she'll probably I think it was the owner. They interviewed the owner after and said that better ground she'd be seen better on better ground. which is mad to think because she won on quite soft ground in France. But the reason that she hadn't even had prep runs or more runs was because they had. Obviously we all know how bad the winter was. She just couldn't run. She was an all-weather horse before she ran on the all-weather. I think at a double-figure price, she'll probably be overlooked if she runs for the Aga Khan, and I'll be having a little bit of each way money on her, but I can't split the front of the market. I mean, there's some great horses in this, and I think 𝗋𝗋𝗪𝗓 is obviously going to be probably worthy favourite, even though she's been beaten before this race. But yeah, it's a race to savour and enjoy, I think, in the most part. Dawn.
Yeah, 𝗋𝗋𝗪𝗓 was beaten on season debut, Rich. I mean, that, again, like I say, that day we got 12 cold showers. And once that happened, you were thinking, well, Fallen Angel, she won Champions Weekend. And I was so sweet on Fallen Angel for the English Guineas, you know. So when she done that, she was very, very good. A 𝗗𝗏𝗮𝗨, one of my 5, 6, 7 to follow, she was second. She was excellent. And then 𝗋𝗋𝗪𝗓 did enough to make me believe. And like I said, Ribbonsdale or Coronation, 𝗋𝗋𝗪𝗓 wins. She turned my world upside down, inside out, in all the right ways in France. I went, she is just going to be very, very special the year afterwards. And again, not all Aidens, but a lot of Aidens, they need the run. And she's a filly, so, you know, us ladies, we have to be chivied along a little bit more to get us back into our groove after a couple of months off or whatever else. So 𝗋𝗋𝗪𝗓 for me in here. You've got Portaventura for Donica. She won the Albany last year. Just keep an eye on the markets with her. And a 𝗗𝗏𝗮𝗨, like I say, she's one of my followed for a reason. Paddy Toomey will have her so fit and ready to go. Whether Billy Lee is probably back up as opposed to Colin Keane, and she has beaten 𝗋𝗋𝗪𝗓 before. She was very good in her Guineas trial at Leopardstown. Romantic Style, she was fourth in the French Guineas. She's at a bigger price. I'd have a small tickle, but to me, it's 𝗋𝗋𝗪𝗓. Tahira won this last year, and Spiral has won it. Alcohol Free has won it. All fantastic fillies. So 𝗋𝗋𝗪𝗓, write her name on the Coronation, and then a 𝗗𝗏𝗮𝗨 comes close.
Yeah, I didn't actually even notice a 𝗗𝗏𝗮𝗨 down because I was expecting her to be shorter price than she is here. She's 20 to 1. So I think that's a good price. I was probably expecting her to be nearly half that after a performance in the Irish Guineas. Okay, Danny, who have you got for us?
To be honest, I'm surprised that Ruhia doesn't go to the Prix de Diane at the weekend because I thought she was tailor-made for that. So the fact that she comes here is very interesting. The other French horse I quite liked. I didn't think she really handled Newmarket. 𝗗𝗏𝗪𝗡, is it 𝗗𝗏𝗪𝗡?
Yeah, 𝗗𝗏𝗪𝗡, yeah.
I don't know my French.
𝗗𝗏𝗪𝗡
It's pretty rubbish, especially with the cold. But anyway, yeah, I think she was maybe delivered a little bit too soon, and she didn't quite handle the dip at Newmarket. So I think she'll be there or thereabouts. Well, I think she around 6 to 1. Not a bad price, to be fair. I think she was just caught for toe that day late on, but she still showed a nice turn of foot. So I think she might be able to turn the tables with a Malka, to be honest. But I think Fallen Angel will be tough to beat here. She wasn't that great at Newmarket, but she was another that didn't really handle conditions. And I think she was impressive at the Curragh. She improved from that run and showed exactly how good she is. She obviously went off favourite for both of those races. So I'll be keeping Fallen Angel on side. I think she's going to be tough to beat. 𝗋𝗋𝗪𝗓 5 to 2. As you know, I like to take on favourites, so she's going to be tough to beat. Improving obviously from that run in behind that day. But yeah, I just think Fallen Angel it's a solid alternative. Around 4 to 1 each way, steel baby.
Okay, fair enough. The last race we'll cover on the Friday is the King Edward, the 7th Stakes, which is a Group 2 over 1.5 miles. Again, top of the market is usually quite good. I think a fun fact is that if you back every favourite in the last 10 years at Ascot, you make profit. So bookies don't tend to do amazingly. Last year was actually like a real anomaly. Last year there were some massive prices, and it wasn't a vintage year for punters. But yeah, usually if you back the favourite, come out on top. So all these trends and stats say like favourite, second favourite, because top of the market usually does well. The market makers know what they're doing with these races. If you contested a recognised Derby trial, you tend to do well. You're yet to win over the trip of 1.5 miles. You're trained by Sir Michael Stout, 𝗗𝗪𝗪𝗏𝗄𝗏, or Charlie Johnston. So another race that is stacked with great horses. I love going on the Tuesday just because it's always the best racing, I think. But this King Edward and the Coronation, we've got some seriously good animals running. And I think Ancient Wisdom is a possible. So I don't know what the excuse was, if there was an excuse. Don't know what happened in the Derby. But yeah, I think Meydan is a horse.
He was very keen.
He's what?
He was very keen.
Yeah, he was keen early, but he didn't see out the race at all. I don't know if he didn't handle it. He just an off day.
I don't think he did. Yeah. He looked very unbalanced and quite weak looking, I suppose, in the final.
Yeah.
Final two.
Yeah. So we'll see if he can run better here. I know Meydan is entered, but I think they've got the Hardwick on the agenda for that horse as well. So I don't know if the Brisfords have him running here. He won at Goodwood last time out, and he's starting to fulfil that potential that many had of him at the start of the season. I know the step up in trip will help as well. Could nick a place. And this is the race that I said about at the start of the show with the horse in the French Derby. Mondo Man is entered. Same colours as the French Derby winner last year and the Arc winner. I can't believe he's entered here, really. It's a bit of a strange one because they've got, obviously, the Prix de Diane card at Chantilly. We'll surely have a race for him. But he was my idea of the Arc winner. So I think that he's got a great chance. He fell out of the stalls 4 lengths back, and his chance of the race was gone, but he absolutely flew home and finished 5th on that day, and it'll be massive odds. I think it'll be like 50 to 1+. So this could be another big price that could go in, but we'll see. I'm not bullish on it. I'm not bullish on it by any means, but I think the horse, if he runs, has got a chance. Danny, who do you like?
I think I tried to avoid horses coming out the Derby just because they can bounce, because they're fully prepped for a Derby, and then such a quick turnaround. Yeah. It can be difficult for them. But, big but, Ambiente Friendly came there absolutely cruising, and obviously only found City of Troy too good. Was beaten 2 lengths. If he turns up in the same form here,
he runs in the Irish Derby, though. I think.
Does he?
I think so.
Yeah, but it's not out of reach to do the 2.
No,
yeah, true. Yeah.
He's got an entry in the race, hasn't he?
Yeah,
and then I think he's got an entry on the Saturday as well. Not the Saturday, sorry. The King George. That's next. That's following month, isn't it? That's July.
Yeah.
So he might go for them 2 races if he doesn't go down that route, like you say. But yeah, he impressed me a lot because I wasn't sure he was good enough. But obviously he only found City of Troy too good. So Ed Walker's got Harper's Ferry in here. Now Harper's Ferry is a lovely horse, but I just don't think mentally is quite ready for something like this, to be perfectly honest. But there's a number of horses that I like. 𝗗𝗪𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏, I was keen on in the Derby. again, coming out of the Derby into this race is probably not ideal. But Space Legend is a nice horse. Whether he's quite good enough to win this, I'm not sure. He was beaten by Meydan last time, but he was very unlucky. He should have won that race. He's got plenty of ability. If William Haggis thinks he's good enough for this race, then I'll keep him on side.
Very lovely. Dawn, I know you like one in here if he runs.
Well, the 𝘋𝘪𝘨𝘪𝘵, I mean, last year was just fantastic. And I know you say, Rich, well, the Tuesday, every day at Royal Ascot is a great day. And that last year was just, I brought over my granddad's ashes. We brought him to Epsom. We brought him to Royal Ascot. We knew Arrest wasn't going to win because, like I always say, except this year, it's probably going to be different. Ascot always usually comes up like tarmac. Hardest to propel. But that was just, you had Continuous in second. We seen what Continuous went on and done. We're going to see Continuous probably in on the Saturday. And 𝘗𝘂𝗪𝘡. I mean, he's injured now, but Christ, what a great race to be there for. And as Kevin Stott came over the line, just swinging on him, the big, chunky 𝘗𝘂𝗪𝘡, who was the real deal. It was a fantastic day. Off racing, win, lose or draw. And I think this race is going to be fantastic again. If Ambient Friendly does turn up, I think he has a solid chance. I really do, Danny. I was so impressed with him at Epsom, and I had disregarded him so much. The consensus from the Gredleys think that he is going to be even better in the Irish Derby, and it isn't out of reach. He could go on and do, the Irish Derby, should he do this. One of mine in here, the group horse, I bang on about him. Agenda, I think he is tailor-made for this. You've got the form franked with 𝘗𝘂𝗪𝗡, who was fourth to him. 𝘗𝘂𝗪𝗡 has gone on and beaten Galen. Galen has an Irish Derby entry also. That's Sheila Lavery's horse, 𝘗𝘂𝗪𝗡. He was fourth to Agenda. I always talk about that race back in October when I first fell in love with Agenda. Sam was in there, and then the Merryweather horse, who we haven't seen this year. I don't know whether he's had a setback. He still has an Irish entry, an Irish Derby entry. He was so good in the 𝗵𝘃𝗏𝗏. So good in second. And I think that sets him up beautifully for this. Chief Little Rock as well, if he goes in here, he was excellent in his Group 3 at the Curragh. Stromberg, who I think a lot of he's Teen Valley as well, he was second to him. He wasn't himself in the Blue Ribbon trial at Epsom. I disregard that completely, but he was fantastic under Wayne Irish Guineas weekend. Meydan, Rich, you say, well, he doesn't go here. If he did go here, I would fancy him quite a bit. He was very good at Goodwood last month. Very, very good. And he was third in his Derby trial to Ambient Friendly. So if you fancy a bit Ambient Friendly, wherever he's going, you're going to want Meydan. But Agenda here, he's a star. He really, really is. He's Galileo. And we're starting to run out of Galileos. You're going back second generations now. But yeah, Agenda for me here. Chief Little Rock turns up. He may come close. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Ambient Friendly will go very close if he turns up, but that's a big if too. So I'm putting everything, my money where my mouth is. Like I said, with my 5, 6 or 7 to follow. Agenda for me.
Brilliant. Are there any other day 4 fancies from you, Dawn?
Yeah, I've got the Albany. I have touched on Portaventura. Portaventura won Royal Ascot Trials Day last year at Naas. She then went and won the Albany. Fairy Godmother, she was second on debut at Naas. She then went on and won the same race, Royal Ascot Day. Meditate had won it the year before. We know what Meditate went on and done. She's just really, really good. Gorgeous filly, and I think she goes close in the Albany. I don't know what price I have for you because I had a price for her in the Queen Mary, but she goes to the Albany. And I know you two guys are going to disagree with me and have seen the best 2-year-old in God's Given World, which is actually Make Haste, and she runs a couple of days before. So you're speaking nonsense.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. And actually, if you won the Group 3 Fillies Sprint Stake at Naas, which she did, that's actually a real positive. Unfortunately, I think that Mountain Breeze wins the Albany, doesn't she, Danny?
She does. After her first run, we told everyone in the community 6-1 and 4-1 is massive for this horse in the Albany. I think she's into as short as 9-4. So I think she maybe even went 6-4 at one point until the fairy godmother came along. But yeah, she's the best 2-year-old I've seen this year. She looks like a proper 2-year-old. She is big in all the right places, and she was very impressive on both starts. She'll obviously head straight to the Albany now, and she's a straightforward horse to do what she did on debut. The way she did it was just ultra impressive. So yeah. I mean, it was a shame that the form wasn't really franked by New Charter at Epsom. But we can't help with the horses and what they're doing behind. We can only do what we need to do and give the weight away and give her stuff into them. So yeah, she's great, and I'm looking forward to the race, especially knowing I'm taking Dawn on now again.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
and you're going to lose.
She's disappeared on us. She's disappeared on us. She's right.
Hiding.
Well, she's actually 𝗗𝗪𝗥𝗢𝗥𝗢 as well, so it's a bit of a surprise she's got that amount of speed. But yeah,
she's sister to a 6 furlong 2-year-old winner, and she's closely related to Pinatuba. If that doesn't frighten you, Dawn, I don't know what does.
𝗗𝗪𝗥𝗢𝗥𝗢 is leading sire at the moment, so there's a nice stat for you.
Okay, well, hopefully for us he adds another one, and not. I mean, it should be a good race. It should be a good race at least. Have we all survived until the Friday? Can we get to the weekend? I'm sure plenty will be looking forward to the Saturday. It will be absolutely rammed there. I hope the rain stays away for anyone going. The 22nd of June, the final day of Royal Ascot 2024. We will start with the Hardwicke Stakes, which is a Group 2 over 1.5 miles. Again, positives here are you've won a Group 1, you won a group race earlier in the season, you're trained by Stout, O'Brien, Johnston, you ran in the Coronation Cup, notably if you finished between 3rd and 6th, which is a strange stat. Not sure why it's in there. That does help Emily Upjohn, I think. Rebels Romance surely can't run. I mean, I really hope he does, but that's a long way to go. The Globetrotter. Is he going to... Please tell me he's coming over. Go on, do you know?
I thought the main plan was to keep him in America, Rich. So I'd say he stays in America. Like, I'm looking here, Alrifa is entered too. There's Alrifa's no way going to go to that straight from Belmonte. It's a lot of recovery time. A lot of recovery time. So I don't know. From what I heard, Rebels Romance stays in America and does his campaign there.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, yeah, it's a long way to travel over from Sha-Tin to the UK. I mean, it's on the way, unless he goes the other way around the world. You could take it in, but probably not. Yeah, I think he's a massive price now, I think, anyway, for it. So who wins the Hardwicke? Dawn, who have you got for us?
Well, look, it's season debut, and you can call me foolish or stupid or whatever else, but Continuous. I fell in love with Continuous back at St. 2 years ago. I always tell people to go to St. the day before the Arc weekend because it's going to throw up a good horse. And there was so many Japanese fans there that day because, you know, he's by Heart's Cry. So he's one of the few of Heart's Cries that are actually on the ground. So the Japanese have a big fandomship around him. He's 5-2 at the moment. He was 5th in the Arc. I was surprised he went in the Arc, actually. He didn't get a good run of passage. He was never coming for Ace Impact. The ground went against him that day too. Beat Arrest in the Voltager and 2nd in the King Edward last year. He's a very, very good horse. The only question, and it is a massive question, is firstly, is he going to run? And secondly, is he going to win on debut? But again, we're foolish to question the master that is Aidan O'Brien. I mean, as Stanley just said to me, it's okay to be wrong, and you can be wrong at times. And, you know, maybe Aidan does get it wrong sometimes, but I would really like him in here. I have 𝗗𝗪𝗄𝗄𝗪𝗡 again. I doubt 𝗗𝗪𝗄 runs in this. Elegant Man is 40-1 here. Now, his turf debut, he was fourth he was thrown in at the deep end in the 𝗗𝗪𝗄𝗪𝗥𝗢 Cup, but he is beautiful. He's just gorgeous. You know, Arrogate was his father. You can smell the breeding coming out through his pores. He's just gorgeous. I think he's massive here at that price. And Middle-earth, I know you're both going to probably wax lyrical about him. I think he's so good. I know Oisín thinks so much of him. You've got Galileo on the mum side as well. Roaring Lion, the great Roaring Lion. He's sexy. He's beautiful. He's in the Qatar colours. 4-1 fun here. He had a blip in the ledger. He got sweaty as well. He was never winning the ledger, but look, it was a long old season. I will just give a shout out to Point Lonsdale as well. He's Broom's full brother, and Broom won this 2 years ago. And Broom, he was like a dressage horse going around. Everybody comments about how he went around 2 years ago in the Hardwick, and he was just like a big rocking horse. He looked so comfortable. So I think at 14s, he's decent. I'm not going to pass without saying Arrest. Arrest, does he run here? I haven't heard whether he does or he doesn't. All roads still lead to the Arc. He was second at Chester. He looked a bit better than what we seen at Newbury. On ground that he wouldn't have liked, but we're going to need it to rain, and we're going to need it to get right into the ground too. So he's 20-1 here. Of course, I'm going to have a sentimental bet, but I like Continuous. I like Middle-earth. Middle-earth's going to benefit because he's already had a run this year. Continuous, it's a question, but I'm going to stick with the Irish and go with Continuous. Middle-earth comes close. Point Lonsdale, each way play, Arrest, Sentimentality.
Yeah, okay, that's good. I mean, yeah, I'd love Arrest to run in this, especially if it rains. Yeah, Continuous first time out. You know, we know how much Aidan's improve or a run, so there must be obviously other targets later on down the line for him. Yeah, you've got a ledger winner in here. You've got Middle-earth, who looked really good last time. Emily Upjohn, if she runs. Luxembourg's still in. Don't know if he goes because he wasn't in the Aidan O'Brien string that you talk about, Dawn. Yeah, it could cut up a little bit, and Rebels Romance probably doesn't go either. So it's a difficult one to find runners. Absurd is in here as well. But yeah, it's another interesting race, and hopefully it'll be a good one. And if the rain does come, then let's hope Arrest can run. Danny, who'd you like?
I think Continuous will run a good race. Don't think Continuous will win. I think Continuous main goals this year will probably be the Coral Eclipse, maybe, or something like the King George, and then maybe the Irish Champion Stakes back end of the year, or the Irish St. Ledger, something along those lines. Working towards that route, I suppose. Middle-earth, I love Middle-earth. I think the main goal is going to be the Melbourne Cup. He is better on quicker ground. He stays, and he's got gears, as we found out last time, because they were very slowly away. He was very slowly away, and they crawled. He was out the rear, and his final 4 furlongs was something like 45.1 seconds or something, which is just ridiculous. Given an absolute peach of a ride by Oisín Murphy. I mean, you could say peach of a ride because he went for the dare and run up the rail, and the gaps appeared, and he literally got it by a nose. Had he not done that, he wouldn't have won, plain and simple. So yeah, he showed plenty of gears that day. He beat King of Conquest. King of Conquest obviously came out and won. Since then, that was just last weekend. Beating Imeric, tried to take him on that day, which was silly, especially considering I obviously like Middle-earth. But yeah, I think anything good or quicker is going to be very tough to beat. If it softens up, I'd be surprised to see him go here, because I think they are just going to pick the races with him and be quite cute with where they place him. with the Melbourne Cup in mind. Obviously, the quicker the ground, the better, which is why they're going down that route. And Oisin has come out and said exactly what he thinks of the horse and how much he likes him. So yeah, I'll be all over Middle-earth on good or quicker ground, as I was last time. Hamish is in here. If it does go soft, I'd definitely keep Hamish on side. Obviously, we had good word to say about him at Epsom. He ran a mighty race in behind Luxembourg, obviously chosen by the lovely Dawn, beating me that day. But I think Hamish went off 7-2 in the end, didn't he?
Yeah, 12,
like
25s into 7-2.
Did, yeah, correct.
Yeah, it's crazy that.
That was you, Danny.
No, your money.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't my money that shifted it, because by the time I went there, someone else had already got it. So I think you were maybe a bit too quick on editing that time, Rich. To be honest, kind of shot me in the foot a bit with that one. It served me right for not acting upon it quickly enough. But no, I love Hamish. Great horse. Well prepped by William Haggis throughout his whole career, really. But obviously he's an 8-year-old now. There's lots of younger horses in here that are improving, and he will only run if it's soft ground. But no, I'll keep Middle-earth on side, and if Middle-earth doesn't run, then I will enjoy watching Continuous probably win, and then go on to bigger and better things later in the year.
Yep, brilliant. The last race that we're going to cover on this podcast is the Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee Stakes, Group 1, over 6 furlongs. You want to have won or placed at Royal Ascot before, won a group or listed race earlier in the season. If you're not European, you're a contender from anywhere else in the globe, that's a positive. You contested a 7 furlong race at some stage, and you've never raced over 5. So there's some weird stats, I think, as well, which there always are from me. I mean, I don't want to be harsh, but it doesn't look like a vintage renewal, like compared to some years that you've got, like, had some really, really amazing horses running. He would probably be my tentative pick.
Yes.
But I don't have a huge opinion on the race. So, yeah, Dawn, who'd you like?
Well, we seen last year, and I was hoping you were going to pull something out of the fire, Rich, like 𝗗𝗪𝗪 at 80-1. I mean,
sorry,
did anybody have him? Because I certainly didn't. I was 3 deep in Espresso Martinis, but I still managed to wobble down and get him under the tunnel. Yeah, I thought he was class. He's back for more. He's 25-1 this year. Sharash, I really like in here. He's Watnams. He's gone from Johnny Martas, so I know him a bit personally. I wanted him so much to win the Prix Jean-Luc back in 2022. He ended up 4th. He beat Blackbeard in the Railway Stakes, so he's a bit of an old friend of mine. And he was a nice winner at Haydock back in the Spring Trophy, beating Pogo. Now, look, Pogo's running his races this season. I love that Zebedee boy because I have a Zebedee boy myself. So anything Pogo touches, I kind of follow too. Should have been a ring. She has been so unlucky. She goes down on her sword. She was just done in York. 7th in the Commonwealth last year. Aesop's Fables, that was bet of the century at Naas. Royal Ascot Trials Day, he had his blinks on. He's a bit of a globetrotter himself. He's 20-1 in here. He's worth each way play. Kinross, we haven't seen this season, but we know how good Kinross is. With or without Frankie, you know, I don't know who's going to ride him. He's 6-1 at the moment, which, with not having seen him this season, you're kind of wondering. But I mean, he was 2nd in the Prix Forêt. He should have been a ring, was 3rd that day. He was 7th in this last year, 8th the year before in the Platinum Jubilee, 2nd to Art Power in the Sprint Stakes Champions Weekend. And his City of York win last year was really, really good. I like him a lot. I call him Kinross the boss. I just would have liked to seen him already this year because I've seen the likes of Should Have Been a Ring. I've seen Aesop's Fables. I've seen Sharash, but Shartash, I really like him here at 9-1, and Aesop's Fables at 20-1 fun.
Okay, lovely. Danny, finish us off.
Charlie Hill's unbelievable with sprinters, as we know in recent years. 𝗵𝗂𝗪𝗡, I think he's got to the bottom of this horse now. Obviously, he's not had him all that long. He had a few issues to start with when he picked him up. But yeah, obviously he beat Regional at the 𝗋𝘪 last month. And I think he's going to have as good a chance as any at an each way price in here. But I'm a big fan of Millstream. I don't think the race was run to suit at Ascot in the Champions Day last year. He wore a first-time tongue tie that day as well, and there wasn't much making ground in the softer conditions. So I think the quicker the better it will be for him. He obviously should have been a ring at York last time. He was hard ridden relatively early. York is obviously a quick track. You can quite easily get outpaced there. It's obviously a completely different track at Ascot, and it suits those that travel a bit better within themselves and can finish. Now, this will suit him a lot better than York, but the fact that he still was able to get up and win that day shows the ability that he has, and he's clearly an improving animal. So I'll keep Millstream on side. I'm a big fan of Millstream and 𝗵𝗂𝗪𝗡 as well.
Okay, lovely. Do we have any final selections for the Saturday? I mean, it's so far away that probably don't know who's going to run. I don't have anything. Okay, Dawn, anything?
Yes, the Queen Alexander. I said, or Alexandria. I waxed lyrical last year, and it all goes back to 𝗗𝘰𝘥𝘤𝘪, really, because there's form in there with 𝗗𝘰𝘥𝘤𝘥 with Queenstown. So he's been treated to Kipper's backside twice, and I think this race is his race to win. He is such a good horse. He turns up, he gets in the money. I seen him at the last meeting when he still had his ghoulies at the 𝗋𝘪, the last flat meeting last year. He's had the cruelest cut, so he won't be carrying that weight this time in the Queen Alexandria. You said, Rich, last year that, you know, a lot of punters were sore, and I remember the week people were getting more and more kind of disheartened with punting because you had 150 to 1 winners and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Dawn Rising, I think everybody just sighed a massive relief because Dawn Rising went off at 5 to 1. He saved a lot of people. And this could be the case that a horse is going to save a lot of people by the end, because this flat season has been like that. It has not been straightforward. So I will say punter beware. But Dawn Rising has gone back in here too. Joseph O'Brien has said he's sending him back in. It's just taking them a bit longer. He's coming back a stronger, bigger horse. I think he's going to run a very good race. I don't think he's going to win it this year because the prep hasn't really been the same. But for me, and this could come back to bite me and haunt me, but I believe in this horse so much that Queenstown, to finish off what is going to be a wonderful week of racing, the greatest show on earth, Queenstown is going to be my nap for the week.
Wow. Okay. Brilliant. That's a good nap to have, I think, in the last race of the whole week. Danny,
save us all.
Save us all. Have you got anything?
Yeah, English Oak in the Wokingham Stakes for Ed Walker. Now, I was very surprised to see that this horse had only actually won one race up until last time. Absolutely made a mockery of a mark of 90 on second start this year at Haydock in soft ground. Has been put up £10 for that, so we'll run off 100 here in the Wokingham. But he looks like a group animal, really. And I think he's still got plenty of room for movement from a mark of around 100. I think he's around 14 to 1 for the Wokingham. Good ground or softer probably would be preferable. But he's won over a mile. He's won over 7 furlong. I think a race at Ascot over 6 furlong would be ideal because he does stay further. He got beaten by Rohan in a handicap in October at Ascot last year. I think he was beaten a neck that day in behind Rohan, and obviously we all know what Rohan's capable of at Ascot. So I think that was a good run. That was off 89, and yeah, how he was only put up £1 for that is beyond me. And you'd been pretty miffed if you backed him on reappearance to be beaten 2 lengths off 90 to then bolt up by 4.5 lengths at Haydock the next start. And yeah, he's definitely going to end up being a group horse, and he could be the group horse in a handicap. But as we know with these heritage handicaps, especially at Royal Ascot, there could be more than one lurking in there. There's one horse that we mentioned over the winter months, the horse called 𝗂𝘅𝗪𝗡. He holds an entry in this race as well. Now he could still be well handicapped. We haven't seen him since March at Newcastle. He was well beaten. I think that was when he went off favourite for the sprint handicap, the all-weather finals sprint handicap. But before that, we mentioned him, and he obliterated a field off 88, and he's now rated 101. He will stay from that mark of 101 if he does run here. Still relatively unexposed. Could be a fair big price in this, and still well handicapped. And maybe they've kept him under wraps, protecting that mark for something like this. So yeah, I'll be interested on 𝗂𝘅𝗪𝗡 as well if he goes in the same race.
Okay. That concludes Royal Ascot 2024. Dawn, have you got something to see us off with?
Yeah. Luck, love, light, laughter for the greatest show on earth. Follow the Pied Piper. Make haste with August Rodin as rogue millennium and opera singer. Go to Queenstown with Van Dijk, having each way play on Vauban the Man and Point Lonsdale. Wishing you all royal winners.